There's a particular kind of silence that comes with abandonment. It's not just quiet. It's the absence of voices that used to fill your days, the missing notifications from people who once flooded your phone, the empty chairs at your table where friends and family used to sit. If you're watching this video, you might be sitting in that silence right now. Maybe your friends have drifted away. Maybe your family has turned their backs on you. Maybe a divorce or breakup has left you isolated from an entire social circle. Maybe you made mistakes that cost you relationships. Or maybe you were simply unlucky enough to be let down by everyone you trusted. Whatever brought you here, I want you to know something important. Your life is not over. In fact, what feels like an ending might actually be the beginning of the most authentic, powerful version of yourself you've ever been. This isn't going to be one of those motivational videos that glosses over how much this hurts. Abandonment is devastating. It shakes the foundation of who you think you are. But I'm going to show you, step by step, how to build a life from the ground up when you're starting alone. Not just survive it, but build something better than what you had before. Before we talk about building, we need to talk about where you are right now, because you can't build a solid foundation on top of denial. Here's the truth. Starting over alone is hard. It's one of the hardest things a human being can do. We are social creatures. We're wired for connection. When those connections are severed, especially all at once, it doesn't just hurt emotionally. Your nervous system responds as if you're in physical danger. Studies have shown that social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. So if you feel like you're dying right now, understand that your brain is literally processing this as a survival threat. And here's another uncomfortable truth. Some of the people who abandoned you might have had valid reasons. Maybe you were toxic. Maybe you were selfish. Maybe you hurt people. If that's true, you need to own it. Not to shame yourself, but because you can't build a better life on top of the same patterns that destroyed the old one. But here's the other side of that coin. Some people abandoned you for reasons that had nothing to do with you. Some people are fair-weather friends who disappear the moment life gets complicated. Some families are dysfunctional and scapegoat one person for everyone else's problems. Some partners leave not because you weren't enough, but because they weren't capable of commitment. The hard work right now is figuring out which is which. What was your responsibility? What wasn't? Where do you need to grow? Where do you need to simply accept that some people were never going to stay? This is not comfortable work. It requires brutal honesty with yourself. But it's essential, because if you don't do this work now, you'll either repeat the same mistakes with new people, or you'll carry unnecessary shame that will poison everything you try to build. You cannot build a life when you're in crisis mode. The first phase of rebuilding isn't about making grand plans or finding new relationships. It's about stabilization. Think of yourself like a patient who's just been in a major accident. Before you can run again, you need to stop the bleeding, set the broken bones, and learn to walk. Here's what stabilization looks like. First, take care of your body. I know this sounds basic, but when you're in emotional crisis, basic self-care often falls apart. Are you eating at least 2 meals a day? Are you sleeping, even if the sleep is terrible? Are you moving your body at all? You don't need to become a fitness model or a nutrition expert overnight. You just need to keep the machine running. Set alarms if you need to. Meal prep simple foods on days when you have energy. Take a 10-minute walk every day, even if you don't want to. These aren't luxuries. They're survival basics. If you're struggling with depression or anxiety that's making basic functioning impossible, please see a doctor. There's no shame in needing medical support. This is a health crisis, and health crises sometimes require medical intervention. Next, handle your money situation. If you're employed, that's good. Focus on keeping that job, even if it's not your dream job. If you've lost your job or income, that needs to be priority number one. Apply for unemployment if you qualify. Look for any work you can find, even if it's temporary. Reach out to local assistance programs if you need help with rent, food, or utilities. I know that finding work while you're emotionally devastated is incredibly hard, but financial instability will compound your emotional instability. You need a roof over your head and food in your stomach. Everything else can wait, but not this. Emotional stability. This is the hardest part. Your emotions, right now, are probably a mess. You might swing between rage, grief, numbness, and panic. That's normal. But you need to create some containers for these emotions so they don't overwhelm you constantly. Here are some tools. Find a therapist if you possibly can. If you can't afford one, look for sliding scale clinics, support groups, or crisis hotlines. There are also free online resources like support forums and guided meditation apps. Journal. I know it sounds cliché, but getting the thoughts out of your head and onto paper makes them less overwhelming. You don't need to be a good writer. You just need to dump the contents of your mind somewhere outside of your skull. Create a crisis plan for your worst moments. When the pain is unbearable, what are you going to do? Have a list. Call this hotline. Watch this video. Go to this coffee shop. Text this crisis line. Having a plan makes the darkest moments slightly less scary. Limit your exposure to triggers. If seeing your ex's social media sends you into a spiral, block them. If certain songs or places make you fall apart, avoid them for now. This isn't weakness. This is strategic healing. The daily non-negotiables. Create a simple daily routine with 3 to 5 non-negotiables. These are things you do every single day, no matter what. They might be: wake up by 9 a.m., shower, eat breakfast, take a 15-minute walk, and do one productive thing. That's it. On the hardest days, these non-negotiables give you structure. On better days, they're a foundation you can build on. Don't make the list too ambitious. You want things you can actually do even on a terrible day. Here's where the real work begins. The reason abandonment hurts so much isn't just that other people left. It's that when everyone leaves, you're forced to confront who you are when you're alone. And for many of us, that's terrifying. Maybe you've spent your whole life deriving your worth from other people. Maybe you've always been someone's child, someone's partner, someone's friend, and you don't know who you are without those roles. Maybe you've avoided being alone because you don't actually like yourself very much. This is the gift hidden inside the pain of abandonment. You now have the space and necessity to build a real relationship with yourself. Not the self you perform for others. Not the self you wish you were. The actual self you are, right now, learning to be alone without being lonely. There's a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the painful feeling that you're disconnected from others. Solitude is the peaceful state of being alone. Right now, you're lonely. The goal is to gradually transform some of that loneliness into solitude. Start small. Take yourself on a date. Go to a coffee shop alone and read a book. Go to a movie by yourself. Walk through a museum. At first, this will feel incredibly uncomfortable. You'll be hyper-aware that you're alone. You might feel like everyone is judging you. They're not. Most people are too wrapped up in their own lives to notice or care. But even if they do notice, so what? Being alone isn't shameful. It's just a state of being. The more you practice doing things alone, the more normal it feels. Eventually, you might even start to enjoy it, discovering what you actually like. When you've spent years accommodating other people, you might not actually know what you enjoy. Your taste in music might have been shaped by an ex. Your hobbies might have been chosen based on what friends wanted to do. Your entire daily rhythm might have been built around someone else's schedule. Now you get to figure out what you actually like. Try things. Be curious. Watch movies in genres you've never explored. Cook foods from different cultures. Listen to music you've never tried. Take a class in something random. Visit places in your city you've never been. Some of these experiments will be duds. That's fine. The point isn't to find the perfect hobby. The point is to remember that you're a person with preferences, interests, and curiosities. You're not just a supporting character in other people's stories. You're the protagonist of your own life, treating yourself like someone worth caring for. Here's a question. If a friend was going through what you're going through, how would you treat them? Would you tell them they're worthless and deserve to be abandoned? Would you tell them to just get over it? Would you mock them for being hurt? Of course not. You'd be kind. You'd be patient. You'd tell them it's okay to hurt and that healing takes time. You'd encourage them gently and celebrate small victories. So why aren't you treating yourself that way? Self-compassion isn't self-pity or self-indulgence. It's simply treating yourself with the same basic kindness you'd show to anyone else who's suffering. When you notice yourself spiraling into self-hatred, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what do I need right now? Maybe you need rest. Maybe you need to cry. Maybe you need to move your body. Maybe you just need to acknowledge that this is really hard. Practice talking to yourself the way you'd talk to a good friend. Out loud if necessary. It feels weird at first, but it works. Building self-trust. When people abandon you, it damages your ability to trust others. But it also often damages your ability to trust yourself. You might question your own judgment. How did I not see this coming? How did I let this happen? How can I trust my own decisions? The way to rebuild self-trust is through small promises kept. Tell yourself you're going to do something small and then do it. I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water today. I'm going to respond to that email. I'm going to clean the kitchen. When you keep these promises to yourself, you prove that you're reliable. You show yourself that you're someone worth investing in. Start small. Don't promise yourself you're going to change your entire life overnight. Just prove that when you tell yourself you'll do something, you do it. Now that you've stabilized and started rebuilding your relationship with yourself, it's time to actively build a life. Not the life other people expect. Not the life you had before. A life that's genuinely, authentically yours. Define what matters to you. Most of us sleepwalk through life, following a script someone else wrote. Go to school, get a job, get married, have kids, buy a house. But is that actually what you want? Or is it just what you're supposed to want? Sit down with a journal and ask yourself, if I could build my life from scratch with no one else's expectations weighing on me, what would it look like? What would I do with my time? Where would I live? What kind of work would I do? What would bring me meaning? Don't censor yourself. Don't worry about whether it's practical or realistic yet. Just get clear on what actually matters to you. Maybe it's creativity. Maybe it's helping others. Maybe it's freedom and adventure. Maybe it's building something. Maybe it's learning and growing. There are no wrong answers here. The only wrong answer is copying someone else's values and pretending they're yours. Create goals that serve your values. Once you know what matters, you can create goals that align with those values. Not goals designed to impress other people. Not goals meant to prove something to the people who left. Goals that actually serve the life you want to build. Make them specific and realistic. Instead of be successful, try learn Python and build one small program. Instead of get in shape, try exercise 3 times a week for 30 minutes. Instead of meet new people, try go to 1 social event per month. Break big goals into tiny steps. If you want to change careers, the first step might just be researching what training you'd need. If you want to move to a new city, the first step might be visiting for a weekend. Small steps prevent overwhelm and give you regular wins. Invest in skills and knowledge. One of the most empowering things you can do when you're rebuilding is invest in yourself through learning. Skills are portable. No one can take them from you. They build confidence. They open doors. What would make your life better or more interesting if you knew how to do it. Coding, writing, speaking another language, financial literacy, public speaking, cooking, playing an instrument, graphic design. The internet has made learning almost anything incredibly accessible and often free. YouTube, free online courses, library books, community classes. You have access to more educational resources than any previous generation in human history. Commit to learning one new thing over the next 6 months, not to become an expert, just to prove to yourself that you're capable of growth. Build a structure that supports you. Without the structure that other people provided, you need to create your own. This means routines, systems, and habits that keep your life functioning smoothly. Morning routine. What do you do when you wake up? Evening routine. How do you wind down? Weekly routine. When do you do laundry, groceries, cleaning? Monthly routine. Bills. Check-ins with yourself. Planning. Having structure reduces decision fatigue and creates stability. You don't have to think about what to do. You just follow the system. This frees up mental energy for more important things. Create small pleasures. Life can't just be grinding toward goals. You need joy. You need beauty. You need pleasure, especially when you're healing. Build small pleasures into your daily life. A really good cup of coffee in the morning. A walk through a beautiful park. A show you're excited to watch. A hobby that absorbs you. A meal you love cooking. These aren't indulgences or distractions. They're the actual substance of life. Goals give life direction. Pleasures give life flavor. Eventually, you'll need to let people back in. Humans need connection. But this time, you're going to do it differently. You're going to do it carefully, intentionally, and from a place of wholeness rather than desperation. Understand that you don't need to rush. There's no timeline for when you should be over it or ready for new relationships. Some people are ready in months. Some people need years. Both are fine. Don't let anyone pressure you into socializing before you're ready. And don't pressure yourself. Building a solid foundation alone is not wasting time. It's the most important work you can do. You'll know you're ready when being alone feels okay, and when the thought of connecting with others feels like a genuine desire, rather than a desperate need to fill a void. Start with low-stakes connections. When you do start reaching out, start small and low stakes. You don't need to immediately pursue deep friendships or romantic relationships. You need to rebuild your social muscles gradually. Join a class or group around an interest. Hiking groups, book clubs, art classes, sports leagues, volunteer organizations. These provide regular, structured social interaction without the pressure of forced intimacy. Be a regular at a coffee shop or gym. Say hello to the same people. Have brief, pleasant interactions. This rebuilds your comfort with casual social connection. Chat with strangers, sometimes. In line at the grocery store, at a park, waiting for the bus. These tiny interactions remind you that most people are basically kind, and that social interaction doesn't have to be scary. Learn to spot red flags early. One of the reasons you got hurt before might be that you ignored red flags or didn't know what to look for. This time, pay attention. Red flags in friendships. People who only show up when they need something, people who gossip constantly about others, people who don't respect your boundaries, people who are consistently unreliable, people who compete with you or put you down. Red flags in romantic relationships. Love bombing, moving too fast, controlling behavior, contempt or criticism, refusing to respect your no, isolation from others, Jekyll and Hyde personality changes. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. You don't need to prove someone is bad to stop spending time with them. You can simply decide they're not a good fit for your life. Build friendships slowly and deliberately. Real friendship takes time. It's not about instant chemistry or love bombing. It's about consistent, mutual care over months and years. Look for people who are reliable, who show up, who remember what you tell them, who respect boundaries, who are happy for your successes, who are supportive during hard times, who have their own lives and interests, who can be honest with you kindly. Build friendships gradually. Coffee once, then maybe a longer hangout, then regular check-ins. Notice how you feel around them. Do you feel drained or energized? Anxious or at ease? Judged or accepted? Be the kind of friend you want to have. Show up. Follow through. Listen. Celebrate others. Be honest. Respect boundaries. Offer support without expecting immediate reciprocation. Set and maintain boundaries. The old you might have been a people pleaser with no boundaries. The new you needs clear, healthy boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls. They're guidelines for how you want to be treated. I don't lend money to friends. I need 24 hours notice before committing to plans. I don't discuss my romantic relationship with others. I need one night a week alone to recharge. Communicate your boundaries clearly and calmly. Enforce them consistently. People who respect you will respect your boundaries. People who don't aren't your people. Accept that some loneliness is normal. Even with friends and community, you'll still feel lonely sometimes. That's part of being human. No relationship, no matter how strong, can completely eliminate loneliness. The goal isn't to never feel lonely. The goal is to feel lonely less often, to have the resources to cope with it when it comes, and to know that it's temporary. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture of what you're doing here. This isn't just about recovering from abandonment. It's about becoming a fundamentally different person. Someone who is whole on their own. Someone who chooses relationships rather than needs them for survival. Someone who knows their worth isn't determined by whether other people stick around. The paradox of independence. Here's something interesting. The more comfortable you become being alone, the better your relationships become. When you don't need people, you can choose them freely. You can be honest. You can set boundaries. You can walk away from situations that don't serve you. You can show up as your authentic self because you're not terrified of abandonment. Paradoxically, the people who are most comfortable alone are often the ones who build the deepest connections because they're not relating from a place of fear and desperation. They're relating from a place of genuine interest and care. Reframing what happened. This might be controversial, but consider this. Maybe everyone abandoning you was one of the best things that ever happened to you. Not because it didn't hurt, not because it was fair or deserved, but because it forced you to build a real self. Some people go their entire lives propped up by relationships they settled for, doing work they hate, living someone else's life because they never had to confront who they actually are. They're never alone long enough to ask the big questions. They never have to build themselves from scratch. You do. And yes, it's hard. But it's also an opportunity that many people never get. An opportunity to build exactly the life you want with no compromises. The long view. 5 years from now, where will you be? You get to decide. You're starting from zero, which means you get to build toward anything. Will you be in a new city, pursuing a new career? Will you have built a business? Will you have written a book, learned a language, traveled somewhere you've always wanted to go? Will you have found your people and built a chosen family? All of these are possible. Not immediately, not without work, but possible. The people who abandoned you might assume you'll fall apart. They might imagine you bitter and stuck. They're wrong. You're going to build something they can't even imagine. Forgiveness and moving on. Eventually, you'll need to decide what to do with your anger. Holding on to rage and resentment is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. It doesn't hurt them. It hurts you. Forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was okay. It doesn't mean you have to reconcile with people who hurt you. It doesn't mean you excuse or forget. Forgiveness means you stop carrying their debt. You release yourself from the constant mental loop of anger and hurt. You acknowledge what happened, you grieve it, and then you put it down and walk away. Some people you'll forgive easily. Some people you'll never forgive, and that's okay too. The point is to stop letting them take up space in your head rent-free. They're gone. They don't get to poison your present from the past. Becoming unbreakable. Here's what nobody tells you about surviving abandonment. It makes you incredibly strong. When you've built a life from nothing, when you've been your own support system, when you've kept going when everyone said you couldn't, you become a different kind of person. You become someone who knows they can survive anything. Someone who doesn't need external validation. Someone who can stand alone if necessary. That's power. That's freedom. The worst thing already happened. Everyone left. And you're still here. You're still building. You're still growing. What can anyone take from you now that you haven't already lost? Nothing. You're unbreakable now. If you're watching this video, you're in pain. I'm not going to tell you that pain is going to disappear overnight. It's not. Healing isn't linear. You'll have good days and devastating days. You'll take steps forward and steps back. That's normal. But if you follow the path I've laid out here, if you stabilize yourself, rebuild your relationship with yourself, create a life that's authentically yours, and carefully rebuild connection from a place of wholeness, something remarkable happens. One day, maybe months or years from now, you'll wake up and realize you're okay. More than okay. You'll realize you've built a life you actually like. You'll realize the abandonment, as painful as it was, cracked you open in a way that allowed you to become who you were always meant to be. The people who abandoned you will become footnotes in your story, not the main characters, not the villains, just people who were there for a chapter and then left. Their departure made room for something better, for the real you, for the life you were always supposed to live. You're not broken. You're not unlovable. You're not too much or not enough. You're someone who is learning to stand alone so that when you choose to let people in, it's from a place of strength rather than need. This is your hero's journey. You've been stripped of everything comfortable and familiar. You're in the dark forest, but you're going to find your way through. You're going to discover powers you didn't know you had, and you're going to emerge transformed. The best chapter of your life is ahead of you. It doesn't feel like it right now, but trust me, the view from the other side is worth the climb. Build your life, one day at a time, one choice at a time, one small victory at a time. You've got this. And even though everyone else left, you're going to stay. For yourself. Because you're worth it. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you, please share it with someone who needs it. Leave a comment below about where you are in your journey. And remember, you're not alone in being alone. Millions of us are out here rebuilding. We see you. We believe in you. Now, go build something beautiful.